Welcome to ModCast, an official podcast of Apolyton Civilization site. Tim Pratt,
Kenneth Ferland,
Tony Kiehl,
John Archer,
with guest co-host
Stephen Wolfshanze Strayer. Since we have today both of our Aussies on, I propose a challenge.
Aussie off.
A Crikey-Off.
It is going to be a Crikey-Off. Now, I'll tell you the rules in one moment. Welcome to ModCast episode 24. Today, we are joined with Kenneth, Impaler WRG, Ferland.
Greetings, loyal listeners.
John, BT Oz, Archer.
G'day, everyone.
Tim, Rough High, Pratt.
Hello.
Me, Tony, GarretSidzaka, Kiehl, hello, with special guest host and Crikey-Off spectator, Stephen Wolfshanze Strayer.
Yeah, that would be me.
Okay, here's the rules of the Crikey-Off, alright? On a coin toss, we determine who goes first with their first Crikey, and we alternate Crikeys after that. The contest goes on until I'm finally annoyed with it. So, everyone understand the rules?
Stop, bloody hell.
Wait, Tony, I'm already annoyed with it. Can we stop now?
Oh no, you're going to... I am the decider of who's annoyed. Alright, here's the coin toss.
I win.
Wait, someone needs to call the coin toss before you make it,
right.
Tony?
Pentium...
Wait, is it my...
Okay,
Sorry,
coin
my
toss-
mother's calling me. I've got to go now. I've got to know.
Oh, nice try.
Oh,
Nice
see you
try.
later. Bye-bye.
Alright. You're gonna call Pentium 1 top or pin, so I'm flipping the Pentium 1 in the air. Call it.
Pin.
Alright. You got pin, so John, you get to do your first Crikey, and then Ruff will do his Crikey until I'm annoyed.
All right.
So,
When do we start? Now?
alright. Crikey-Off!
Crikey!
Ooh.
Okay, I can't beat
No,
that.
you
Are
have
kidding
to...
me?
Crikey-Off.
Dear. I can do it, Lord Lummy. My grandfather used to do that. Crikey!
Ooh, that was an interesting one. Now it's your turn, John. Very good, very
Ooh.
good.
Struth, stone the flippin' crows! I've never seen one as big as that!
Ooh.
Oh, devastating.
Devastating.
retort.
Yes,
Oh,
excellent.
and
now it's your turn,
crikey
John.
as well.
Oh, Striff, look at those flaming bloody crows. Look, I'm fair dinkum. I'll come down there and I'll throw another bloody shrimp on that barbie for you.
I couldn't even understand half of that. That was awesome.
Well, okay, we could move into sports commentating and go, and he spins in the corner pocket, he snaps over his shoulder, and it's through
Oh,
the
there he
six
goes
for
again. He kicks
goal!
the ball up and up, and he bounces the ball down the other end of the field, and he's going for goal.
This is just too stupid.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
All right, I'm annoyed.
They,
All right.
they forgot to yell touchdown.
No, we just waved
I don't
some
think
big
they played that
flags.
sport there. All right. Observing the Crikey-Off, I determine a tie. You are both crazy fucking Australians. Today in the news, we went over a Blender animation tutorial by the Coyote.
And today in the artist Sketchpad, we look at the Oedipus and Jack Ryan leaderheads by CF Kane, the Diplomat model by Chuggy, the Line Attack vehicle by KrugerPritz, and the Warhammer Battlemech by the Coyote.
Okay, today in Modder Spotlight we talked to Stephen Strayer, aka Wolfshanze, about his Wolfshanze Mod.
Here's what's been making the news in the Civ community.
Now, I have a little bit of news for all of the modders who love to create units with Blender. Previously, until recently, the only way you could really create a new animation for a unit was with 3ds Max. And 3ds Max, of course, as anyone knows, is a expensive, complicated modeling program. And a lot of people had difficulty creating new animations with Blender, which is the open source modeler. Well, our good friend the Coyote, who's released so many cool units lately, has made a tutorial for all of the modelers and would-be unit creators to start making their own animations. And it's in PDF format, and he's got a great appendix with links to all the plugins and programs. And it's a pictorial tutorial, so it gives good explanations for how to do this. Basically, what it looks like he's doing is he creates a model, a new from scratch model, and then finds an animation that has a similar, it's just vaguely similar to this one, and then he edits the bones and reassigns vertexes and get a whole new thing out there. And it's quite an innovative tutorial. A must read for anyone who models in Blender making units. Is anyone else seeing this tutorial?
No, not yet. But I'll download it now and just have a quick look at it.
That makes me happy. I can't do that what he does.
Yeah. He's pretty skillful. It looks at what he's using for the example of the unit he's creating is the Marauder Battlemech, which we covered a few weeks ago, and it looks like he animated it using the mech from Next War, the big robot in Next War, and he seriously twisted the models around and changed the animations to create a new novel animation for his Battletech units. And it does seem complicated at first, but if you are a true 3D modeler, the tutorial is very extensive and very graphical for, especially the visual-oriented 3D modelers. I think the complexity level is not exceed the complexity level for modeling anything. I think a modeler would easily find this approachable.
Yes, I just loaded it now and having a look at it. It's in PDF format and looks very good.
And it looks to me though he's using a newer version of Blender than I use, from what I can tell. And he says there's updated NIF scripts, and you have to download those, but those are all at the last page with an extensive appendix for software, tutorials, and just general information. See, not only does he include his tutorial, but he also includes some of the more venerable tutorials from several websites, including Civ Fanatics, that really help you get the basics. So if you download this, you might even theoretically begin to start modeling.
Indeed. I have no modeling skills at all, and this looks like if I actually tried it, I could probably produce something, which is saying a lot, since I have no idea what I would be doing.
Because he also includes the GIMP and Python as well.
Yes, very good. Yeah, those are very useful programs. Blender and GIMP are the open source versions of 3ds Max and Photoshop, which I do not use either of those.
No, neither do I. I gave them away years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And who can afford a new version of 3ds Max anyways, You gotta sell your soul. I do believe they take soul transaction over at Autodesk, so if you've got a soul debit card, you can just give them your number, and they'll probably outsource it to the devil.
That's right, and then sell your credit card.
Yep, that's true. So, everyone who's listening, who's a modeler, check out this tutorial. There's a link in the ModCast list. Please, you will be happy you looked.
Artist Sketchpad, where we discuss graphics and artwork from the Civ modding community.
I have some bits of artwork, and the first one I have to say is very Oedipal. Not edible, but Oedipal, which means you love your mother.
Ha ha.
Like clever punning. Yes, Oedipal and Oedipus.
Pun, yes. Clever, no.
Okay, god damn it. We have a leaderhead by CF Kane, couple leaderheads, who I believe we just covered his first leaderheads a week or two ago, and he's now released his next 2 leaderheads to the community, and he did Oedipus. Now, if you're seeing this screenshot, it seems to be a pretty standard, Pericles or?
Pericles.
Yeah, but it looks like it has a nice custom face mask that he lifts up when he starts it, and that looks like a custom model to me. Are you seeing that face mask with the with the bleeding eye sockets.
Yes, it looks.
Well, he calls it a theatrical mask, and he's got the background is in a Greek amphitheater.
Yeah.
Ah.
No, it looked like
I'll be going there soon.
what's basically happened is the model of the helmet has been just like essentially the back half of it has been made transparent or absent. So the front half is still being lifted up on top of the head in the same way, in the same animation. So when it comes down, it's like he's putting a mask in front of his face.
Well, actually, usually lifted up with the Pericles animation. But it does seem to be a fresh model, or at least some editing to the original model, because the mask has obviously different geometries than the Spartan helmet of before.
Oh, indeed.
Oedipus, for all those who do not know their Greek mythology, was a dude who, left his family and then met this hot chick and married her and had kids, and it turns out to, and the way of meeting this hot chick, he's got to kill this dude who loves her, and he ends up finding out the dude he killed was his father, and the girl
You are completely butchering Greek mythology. It's unbelievable.
But it turns out the chick
You forgot the part where his father disowns him and tries to kill him before all this happens, because he's been told by an oracle that his son is going to kill him. So he tries to kill his son by abandoning him, which actually causes the whole thing to happen in the first place, because he then doesn't know that he's his father is his father.
Yeah, so okay.
It's totally ironic and kind of crazy like Greek stuff is. Which is
Disowns his son.
Tragedy.
His son goes out, kills the father, marries his mom, has kids, finds out that he was boinking his own mother, which is kind of extremely gross. And what does he do at the end? He gouges out his own eyes. He actually tears his eyeballs out, and then lives in the dirt in the gutter till he dies. An ignominious death. So
that's a good leader to have for yourself.
Well, this guy's actually for C.F. Kane's fictionalization mod, which maybe we'll get him on the show next season, but it's a mod that all the leaders are fictional characters from the civs they're from. So, and that also brings us to our second fictional leader, who, if anyone's a big fan of Tom Clancy, they might remember a character that's in many of his books named Jack Ryan, and I believe Jack Ryan is some kind of Uber agent, freelance guy who takes care of everything in his books. Anyone seen, Hunt of the Red October or...
Yeah, effectively Jack Ryan is the CIA behind-the-scenes guy who actually gets involved in some quote-unquote wet work in the field. He gets promoted to, or gets talked into being the VP, Vice President, and then some Japanese pilot parks a jumbo into the House of Congress, killing all the House of Congress, the President, and Jack Ryan becomes President.
That's a book I heard.
That sounds like a Splinter Cell game.
Yeah. And you can see he says the leader is based on Ekmek's Arnold Schwarzenegger, although it looks like it's been modified because this dude doesn't really look like Arnold, and the background seems to be some kind of screenshot. Yeah, like NORAD.
It's NORAD.
Some kind of cool
NORAD
displays with maps and whatnot. So.
And he said he used a photo of Harrison Ford, which is totally wrong. He should have used Alec Baldwin, but that's beside the point.
It's a worthless Alec Baldwin. You're a worthless Alec Baldwin.
He was the Hunt for Red October. Alec Baldwin played Jack Ryan in the Hunt for Red October.
I do see. He used the picture of Harrison Ford to do the face peel, I guess, but I think he's doing good. His leaderheads are.
I think he used a far too recent picture of Harrison Ford. So he looks pretty old, I don't know. It's just something about the picture just makes it seem like that guy is 70. 70, but he's had a facelift. You know what I mean?
A really, really severe face peel. And if he turns around, he's got pegs on the back of his head or something.
Well, I think it's
and the little spots under the eyes and near the chin. They seem to be a little too bright. It seems like the lighting is a little off in some ways. Do you guys get that too?
Yeah, it's a little bright. He can turn that down in the NIF scope. Actually, he can lower the lighting settings. But I think we need to say, keep it up, keep doing more and more models. Every time you do a work, you're going to get a little bit better. You're going to learn a new thing. So, excellent. And we need to definitely look at the fictionalization mod sometime. It's got a interesting original idea. And the next one, we haven't covered this next one before, have we? The Diplomat?
No, this is quite new and quite clever. I think so.
It looks like he took the Diplomat out of Civ 2, which is a dude wearing a old-timey suit and a top hat, and it looks like he turned it into a Civ 4 unit.
Let's be clear, this is like a 32 pixel wide bitmap from the original game. It's like tiny little icon, and some people use it as their forum icon. You're probably familiar with it from that. From that.
And what did he base it on? Is this just a completely original model? Probably, knowing Chuggy. He says it's created for Centom 1's Great Diplomat mod, which I don't think we've covered that, have we? I'm not sure.
There have been a number of efforts to mod in a diplomat-like character into the game that would do some kind of similar effect, but it would be for diplomacy. So I think I had an idea for a mod like this once. You would have him you have a special ability. You hit the button and you immediately stopped war with anyone else.
Oh.
Or gave you better relations with someone.
It says it uses the modern Great Spy animation, so the little James Bond looking character, and it also, he added an alternative model which has the Great Person glow. So if you're going to be using the Diplomat as a great person, like a Great Diplomat, I'd be interested to see what's in the Great Diplomat mod. It looks like a lot of fun, but for now, of course, we're just looking at the graphic. Usual great stuff from Chuggy here. He's never disappointed me. Has he disappointed any of you?
He's got big hands.
Better to touch you with.
Well, you know what they say, big hands. I don't know.
Better to slap you around the head with.
That's what we call aggressive negotiations. And what else do I...
Aggressive compared to what? When I roll my tanks in? Because that actually seems kind of mild,
Well, slap a king. That's what we need to do here.
There's one wave of this hand and the
carrot and
tanks
stick.
come over the hill.
What else do I got in my goodie bag here? Let's see.
We have an Italian Hummer, basically.
Oh, yes.
It's the equivalent of.
Yeah, out of the goodie bag comes a new model from KrugerPritz. It says he's based it on the animation. I guess, I don't know if he did. I think he based the animation off the Snafu Smith Humvee.
Yeah, that's where he got it.
Yeah, and he's even got the little Marine that sits in the turret from the. That was a great thing he did a year or so back. And although this new Marine has of course, the Italian mustache like Mario, gotta have it, and it's awesome looking. It's kind of like a Humvee, but a little bit more stylish. They're Italian. What can you expect?
Hey.
Yeah, it's Italian. It's got to be over-engineered.
It looks like something you'd take out into the desert and go romping in, not necessarily machine gunning people, but there's always a good purpose to have a machine gun on any civilian vehicle you have, in case there's idiots on the road. Like, honey, go get in the turret. But it looks like a very nice photorealistic skin. Might have been taken off of the technical specs for this vehicle.
Are those helicopters default helicopters?
No, they don't look like it. They look like something.
Those are definitely modded
Apaches or something?
of some sort.
I don't know what they are. Those are kind of cool. Maybe they're the Italian helicopter. I don't know.
Italian helicopter.
I wonder if they serve pizza to their troops while they're in the helicopters.
Not bad. I mean, you get like a freeze-dried pizza.
No, it's even better if they deliver pizza with the helicopter. Now that.
Your pizza dough rolled up in the rocket launchers or something like that.
All right. Enough with all the cheesy Italian jokes. God damn it.
Well, you started it.
I know. I take full responsibility. And the last thing in my goodie bag for this week is another Battlemech by the Coyote. And I'm sure you guys by now know I'm a fan of Battlemechs, so expect to see every new one added. And it is the Warhammer Battlemech, not to be confused with some otherwise other board game, the Warhammer game, but the Warhammer mech basically looks like a Loki clan mech, except for on its arms, instead of, little gun pods, it's got huge ass cannons, which are often PPCs, and it's got, a missile rack on its shoulder, a light system, a sensor system on its other shoulder, a center torso mounted cockpit, and
Does anyone know what Tony's talking about?
No.
He's a pretty hardcore fan of these mechs. He's like rolling off acronyms like he's in the military.
Well, I remember playing Mech Warrior 3 back sometime in the late 90s.
Someone out there probably knows what I'm talking about. At least the Coyote will probably know what I'm talking about. He's obviously a Battletech nut as well. But I'm loving these skins. He's even got a Clan Wolf skin, that black one with the little red wolf on the paint job.
Yeah, that's a favorite of mine.
I like the cheetah skin. I presume that makes that makes the vehicle faster, right?
Actually, it kind of looks like bullet holes. I was a little worried there. Like that pilot really sucks.
I highly recommend the Wolf Clan. They're the best.
Oh, that one's awesome. I love that one.
The bottom right-hand one, the pink one's for aggrieved wives and stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. The last thing you want to do is piss off your wife who's a mech pilot.
I'm saying the best picture, the bottom left-hand one, where someone loses an arm.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is it's got a awesome exploding death animation, and right above that you can see it's actually firing the PPCs at each other, two Warhammers. PPCs, by the way, are particle projector cannons.
Thank you.
One of the nastiest weapons in the Battletech universe.
What kind of particles do they project?
I'm assuming
depleted
particles?
uranium.
I think they're energy particles, maybe like ions, or I'm not sure. But the gun in play heats up your vehicle very hot and deals a bunch of damage. So you can't fire it over and over again because your mech will start overheating and shut down. Excellent.
HMS Thunderchild.
With all these mechs coming out, I'm just waiting for the Battletech mod. Hint, 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 hint. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Say no more.
Battletech Civ.
You forgot nod, nod.
What's it like?
Say no more. Say no more.
Modding Spotlight, where we discuss and examine a particular mod out of the Civ 4 community.
Today, we have a special guest host. His name is Stephen Wolfshanze Strayer, and he is most notorious for the Wolfshanze Mod, which, believe it or not, has quite a few mods spinning off of it and a whole lot of fans. Tell me a little bit, Stephen, what's the deal with the Wolfshanze Mod? What's its main goal? What does it do?
Franchise from Civ 1 to its current incarnation. Okay, well, I designed the Wolfshanze Mod to fill whatever holes I thought were missing. There were some units that I didn't think were covered, especially with the naval units. A lot of the stuff in the industrial age wasn't covered, so I thought I'd cover that. Just some little things here and there with some technologies and mostly units, and then of course I threw in a nice flavor package, kind of like a Diversica or VD, to try and cover up. I didn't like Africans, Europeans, and Japanese and Chinese all looking the same.
Yeah, exactly, because they don't.
Yeah. So basically, the flavor package was the most important thing. Also covering the missing industrial era units and throwing in a few extra civilizations here and then. But my goal was not to completely change civilization altogether. It was just mostly to cover the holes I thought were there and make it look a little better.
Are most of the areas where you elaborated upon, are those mostly post-industrial kind of units and stuff? Basically
industrial age units. The biggest hole that I thought was the gap in between frigates and destroyers was a huge one. It's a 100-year gap in the time span. And it just really irked me that you go from basically frigates to destroyers with nothing in between. So I covered that.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Well, you get the ironclads, but they kind of suck.
They suck the big one.
Yeah, they do.
You're basically talking the end of the Age of Sail is about 1805, and the beginning of World War II, which is like where destroyers and battleships come in, is the 1940s. So you're talking over 100 years of naval units that were pretty much just skipped over. And that was the biggest hole that bugged me. And that was also also almost a 30-point gap in the combat area too.
Oh yeah.
So I first of all, of course, I filled out the ironclads, and it's just a river, based off the Monitor, the Virginia, and it's just a river ironclad gunboat. But historically, you had the French had the Gloire, the British had the Warrior, and then designs went on from there. So there were a lot of ocean-going ironclads that were fully capable of destroying anything on the high seas that just wasn't covered by the game. And then you move on into the pre-dreadnought era of the 1890s.
The first of the big iron.
Yeah, the big ones. The big ones came in the 1890s with the British Majestic and Canopus and Royal Sovereign classes, and other nations picked up with similar designs. And you pretty much had a standardization in design, and a standard design of secondary and tertiary batteries on the battle. And that's when the first true battleships came out, were the pre-dreadnought battleships.
On your intro screen to the Wolfshanze Mod, it's got a gnarly painting of two just fat-ass battleships all coming
I really
straight
like
at
that,
them.
yeah.
I love that. I love that
is
picture.
Totally superb.
Like I said, you had the pre-dreadnoughts, and then totally revolutionized warfare again with the all big gun battleships. And once again, you've got the ocean-going ironclads, the pre-dreadnoughts, and the World War I dreadnoughts that are major evolution in naval warfare, and you're just skipping that when you go from frigates and ships of the line to destroyers and battleships of World War II.
Exactly.
The English had a metal ship called the Warrior, I think.
Yeah, the
it was.
HMS Warrior.
Yeah, never fired a shot in anger. Where would that fit?
That would be what I consider the ocean-going ironclad cruiser in my mod. 1860, give or take a couple years there. Name's Ironclad Frigate. But it was basically a single broadside on either side, iron plate, ocean-going. The other thing, too, about these ocean-going ironclads is they were dual propulsion systems. They had both sails and steam engines, yeah.
Yeah, sails and
that's pretty cool.
Steam.
The game Imperialism has a similar unit they call the Advanced Ironclad, and it has a few of, I think it also has another level before Dreadnought, and it has some things like battle cruisers that come along, but it's the only other game that I can really recall that even tries to represent that space between ironclads and World War II vessels, because that's mainly the period in which the game occurs in, and it kind of slices these units a little closer than has been done in other games.
Yeah, well, naval history is I'm a big fan of naval military history. And like I said, the naval ironclads, the dual propulsion systems of sail and steam engines, they were basically of the era of the HMS Warrior. You're looking at the dual expansion engines which were used. When the triple expansion steam engines came out, that's when you pretty much went to the pre-dreadnought era, because there was enough horsepower at that point to ditch the sails and enough horsepower to propel 10,000, 15,000 ton warships made of steel.
Gameplay wise, do you tend to feel that World War, the area in which you've enhanced the naval combat here, you have to stretch it out technology wise to make that era progress longer, so that these units don't always end up stepping on each other so much that it's like bam, 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 one unit after another? Or do you actually want to get that kind of one after another, these units all piling on very quickly to represent the rapid technological advance of one war after another that would just make everything obsolete the next day?
Well, that's a really good question. And for the longest time, really since the advent till this moment, I have not added any new technologies to the game. I've been able to do this using the existing technologies that come with the default Civ 4. And it really depends on your gameplay style as to whether you go bam, bam, bam through the units, or whether you sit at one technology for a while. Because just like with anything in Civilization, if you want to steamroll through a certain line of units, you can do it. Conversely, if you want to get to those ironclads, then you get to the ironclads, then you kind of stop and focus on other stuff, you can do that. And then if you find that you need stronger naval units, you can try and step it up to pre-dreadnoughts. The latest version I'm working on, which hasn't come out yet, but I'm going to add one new technology. It's going to be a turret-based technology, and that's going to just extend the ironclad age out just a tad bit more, but nothing significant. But that'll come with the next update. Because I've already got, I'm breaking up the ironclad cruisers and the ironclad battleships, where the ironclad battleship is going to show that the turret ships, like the Denmark had an ironclad turret ship, a few other nations did as well. I'm going to kind of spread that out just a little bit to lengthen the ironclad age before you get to the pre-dreadnoughts. But in any case, you can pretty much zip through them if you really tried to, or you can play a little more conservative and balance your technology progression. But either way, I've found the system works pretty well.
Sweet. Now, let me ask you this. Real-life questions, that boring place we have to go after we're done playing video games. Where do you live and what do you do?
Currently I'm living in beautiful sunny state of Florida, battleground state. I'm retired military. For 20 years I worked with the United States Air Force. Retired 2 years ago. Moved here to Florida. And currently I'm working at the Pensacola Naval Air Station right now.
Sweet, yeah. Sweet.
As a civilian employee now.
See, what's ironic is you retired from the Air Force, yet you're gaga for naval battles. Does this represent a little bit of distaste?
Did you work on a carrier?
No, I'm thinking Navy.
Well, let's just say it's a difference between being interested in the military and getting interested in getting shot at. Navy, I just don't particularly care to be on a ship for 6 months at sea.
Oh, I hear you.
But, I'm looking at some pictures in your forum post above the boat pictures, and you've also got, or it looks like you've added planes there as well. You've got biplanes, you've got a really big, what looks like a Spitfire, and then you've got other fighters with B-52s mixed in there as well. So it looks like you've extended the
naval. I mean, if I saw a hole, I tried to fill it. That would be the case with like the World War I units. I've added World War I tanks, World War I airplanes, so you do have biplanes. The biggest thing is that I did separate World War I aircraft from World War II aircraft. I added a new technology called air superiority, which is the evolution of air doctrine, which of course helps that it comes from my Air Force background, knowing where that went. But essentially, we're talking that I broke up. When you discover flight, you get a free early flyer, which is a really piece of crummy plane. It's not a very good plane, but you get a free one when you discover flight. And then at that point, you can build World War I aircraft and World War I fighters and bombers, and then you have to develop more technologies, radio and air superiority, before you then move on to the World War II equivalent aircraft.
Yeah, I'm more in favor myself of actually having more concrete named technologies like radar or high-octane engine or something like that would open up a new level of aircraft rather than, say, doctrine. That's kind of something they did in SMAC. It's doctrine mobility and doctrine air power. And I always thought those things were vague. And
yeah, like the ability to build a jet engine that can travel greater than Mach 1 was obviously a big stepping stone.
You have a technology called jet engine. I mean, that's really huge, and it's not in the game right now.
Can you name the one technology that differentiated World War I aircraft from World War II aircraft? The one and only technology.
That would be tricky to pin down to just one thing. But
exactly. So that's why I went with...
I think the high-octane engine would be a good candidate, at least. And then it can be individual ones for different units. So it's like the fighter's engine, and then the bomber takes engine plus radar.
I mean, you're still talking piston aircraft engines. You're still talking a lot of the same technology was there. It was just mostly evolved to a higher efficiency. You still had still have much of the same technology between World War I and World War II. The biggest differences was how they used it, how they implemented it, and there was gradual improvements in the technology, but there was no one singular technology. But there were huge strides in theory of air warfare between World War I and World War II, and that's why I pinned it on air superiority as technology.
Yeah. World War I, they were using it for spotters mainly, weren't they? And then World War II, they actually started using it.
A lot of think tanks were developed between World War I and World War II, which implemented how air doctrine would be used in World War II over what it was in World War I. And so that's why I did put it more on a theory than on a single technology piece, because there really was no single technology between World War I and World War II which differentiated the aircraft, whereas there was a huge change in the way people looked at air warfare between World War I and World War II.
I see your argument there. But of course, it is just a game. Just like I said, most of my concern is just more of a flavor kind of feel. The word superiority or doctrine is not very evocative to me.
Well, if you read the
advancing of technology.
Well, download the.
But yeah, I certainly can agree with you on a philosophical level.
Download the Wolfshanze Mod and read the Civilopedia entry I have on that technology, and that kind of explains a little bit.
Let me just close this segment with a final question. What kind of player should download this mod? What kind of person would desire something like this?
Looking for something that completely changes everything, this is not the mod for you. This is the mod that keeps the gameplay very similar to the base game, but plugs in holes, adds flavor, makes it look nicer, and just makes the game run a little bit smoother than the default game, but it's not a huge change in the way you play the game.
You heard it straight from the wolf's mouth. Download the Wolfshanze Mod, play it, love it, destroy it, and also be aware that there's a bunch of mods and scenarios that spiral off his mod as well. So, good luck with your future versions. We are going to be looking at you for your more units and more mods.
All right.
Sweet.
Great.
I just wanted to comment. The idea that you don't want to change major gameplay means that you're not going to consider things like, say, Dale's combat mod that actually changes and modifies rules of combat.
That's great. That's a great question. That's exactly why I'm not doing that. Because the reason why I'm not doing that is because other people have done that for me. As Garrett mentioned, there are people that are taking my mod and doing those exact same things to it already. There's merged mod. There's Wolf Revolution. People that have added Revolution aspects, Dale's combat mod. Those things have been done by others. I just try and keep my mod close to the base of the game, and other people can do with it as they please.
So you don't have any DLL modifications in your mod, is that correct?
The mod can be played without that DLL. I've just got some minor things to tweak it here and there, nothing major. You can play the mod without the custom DLL. It's not a huge change, but just for people that like to play it with some extra civs and stuff like that, there are some DLL changes, but nothing major.
Okay, that makes it pretty easy for people to just slip in a new DLL, like Dave.
Yeah, they could. They could take out my DLL and put a new one. It's not going to cause the mod to crash at all. The mod can play without any DLL.
Sweet!
Very nice.
All right. Awesome.
Yes, good. Assuming that you can edit all of that.
I'm going to attempt to edit all that, but maybe I'll just leave it all in. Who fucking knows?
Wolfshanze, are you, now you're retired from the Air Force, aren't you?
Correct.
The American Air Force. Okay. Now, how many UFOs have you seen while you're up there flying?
0. We are alone.
Oh, no, come on, mate. We know the real story of the US government and the Air Force.
That sounded like too quick an answer to me.
Call in today. In North America, the number is 301-637-7659. That's 301-637-POLY. In Europe, 44-121-288-7659. That's 44-121-288-POLY. You can Skype us at the Polycast or email us at polycast@apolyton.net.
The only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about.
For more information on ModCast or our sibling show Polycast, or about Polycast in general, log on to the series' official website at polycast.apolyton.net.
Okay. All right. So, we have, for the first time ever, 2 Australians dueling to the death on our show, which is an amazing opportunity for us and all the listeners to the show to really see to get a glimpse into the life of a person living in Australia, and when they yell at each other in crikeys.
Or just to turn it off and watch something else.
Speaking of life in Australia, why don't we have BTRs tell us a little bit about his trip that he was talking about. Remember that we were talking about before the show, his vacation?
Oh, crikey, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I went to a lovely spot in Australia, to the western coast, to a lovely city called Perth. I went bushwalking in a national forest called Yansep, and there I had an opportunity to see a lovely kangaroo about, just arm's length away from me, and then I had the opportunity at the Perth Zoo to go into one of the cages and sit with a Madagascan lemur. It was very exciting.
Now, is it true that kangaroos typically wear boxing gloves in the bush?
Only the big eastern greys.
Yes, the eastern grey, a fine specimen.
They will. They'll actually run up to you with their actual boxing gloves and start pounding into you.
And do they
really true.
Also keep things inside of their pouch, like if they need to, smoke a cigar?
Do they hit below the belt?
Yeah, I think that's out of the question, because you might hit them in the pouch, and their kids, will get, roughed up, and I don't want that to happen.
That's right.
Well, I have got to say, what an excellent show we've had today. So much fun, had by so few, at the expense of so many.
Tony, there were no British people on the show today. That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, because they're all having afternoon tea on the lawn with the Queen.
Oh, yes, I would love a crumpet to go with my tea.
No, it's a scone, actually.
Okay. But let me just say that today we have been joined with Kenneth, Impaler WRG, Ferland,
Farewell,
Tim, Rough High, Pratt,
Loves you all.
John, BT Oz, Archer,
Hello, everyone.
me, Tony GarretSidzaka, Kiehl, goodbye, and with special guest co-host Stephen Wolfshanze Strayer.
I have nothing witty to say.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show on such short notice, Stephen, and I really look forward to seeing the things you release in the future.
Will do.
All right? And I bid you all au revoir, the listeners. I will see you in a couple weeks.
Record date
November 23rd, 2008.
Sound clips copyright Civilization 4 and the Warlords and Beyond the Sword expansion packs. Copyright 2008 Apolyton Civilization site at apolyton.net.